Arirang Special.
Hello, Lord Mayor. Thank you so much for inviting us to the Mansion House.
Hello, Jem. A warm welcome. It's very nice to see you here.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the house. This is really a city town palace. It was finished in 1753.
Wow.
And it was really built at a time when UK maritime and international trading was extremely profitable. And so when the house went up, one of the first bits of art that you see, this plasterwork here, do you see that's Neptune on the top and an anchor at the bottom? So you see a very strong maritime picture as you walk up here right immediately.
Right.
In addition to being the Lord Mayor's office for his or her year of that they're serving, it's also their home. And I have an apartment upstairs where I live. So sometimes if we have dinners here, small dinners or big dinners, people enjoy the artwork after we discuss and get up, and people just like being in this beautiful environment. You'll see very wonderful chandeliers too.
Right.
The Queen's mother, Queen Elizabeth, who knew all the famous buildings in London, said these were the most beautiful chandeliers in London.
Is that right? They are beautiful though.
They are. We have to have specialist people to clean them once a year they come.
Once a year?
Yep. So let me show you my office here. This is my office.
Wow, it's an honor to be here.
Well,
Lord
it
Mayor.
is. I'm sorry it's not very beautiful at the moment because we've actually just finished a big meeting with some of my expert colleagues on the economic development side. But I'm going to just show you here in the corner there, I have my honorary doctorate from the university. So actually, I didn't put that out for you today. I have that there because I'm very proud of that.
Oh, is that right?
From my maritime background. Here's a picture, by the way, when we opened, the ceremony to open the enlarged Panama Canal.
Right, wow.
In May. I beg your pardon, June, sorry, late June. Sorry, not June. But you can see, because of my maritime background, people give me maritime presents. It's rather fascinating. I was in the Middle East and many people gave me these beautiful little dhows, the traditional sailing vessel from that part of the world. Well, you can see there's some people here admiring the art. We have parties in to admire the pictures.
Right. This itself could be a museum.
Well, yes. This is a local authority building. We have 85,000 people a year coming through here. Business meetings, small things, head of state, a small meeting, or it might be a great big conference in here for 300 people.
300 people?
Yeah, we had a big dinner last night, something called the Dragon Awards. We're very proud of that. We're the only city in the world that has awards for best CSR projects or businesses.
CSR.
And the award ceremony was last night. It's now laid up. We will have a big lunch tomorrow following. We are electing my successor, the next Lord Mayor of the City of London.
Right?
We will be having lunch here with my successor tomorrow. This is what we call the Egyptian Hall, said by some to be the most beautiful dining hall in London.
It is stunning.
It
Wow.
is quite something. And you have stained glass windows there, where important things of British history are noted. For example, Magna Carta and other important episodes in British history.
Well, I've heard that you're the first Lord Mayor to be an actual Lord. What does that mean?
Well, I think I'm the first one who's kind of a hereditary Lord. We've had very, very few. In the old days, Lords were involved in Parliament and they weren't interested in business. But I've been a businessman all my life. I'm from actually a family of the grandson of a very famous admiral who was made a Lord. And my father was Lord after him, then my elder brother, then me. And I was elected last July, so I'm very fortunate now. When I finish this job, I'll have the opportunity to get involved in Parliament, and that's a great privilege.
No, Lord Mayor, for those of our viewers in Korea and our global viewers who are not too familiar with the position of Lord Mayor, how would you describe your position and what your position entails?
The Lord Mayor is the spokesman and ambassador for City of London and the UK's financial and professional business services. That's a very important part of the job. I also, I head the corporation of the City of London, which is a local government for what we call the square mile. The little business area here, which is so very, very business concentrated. It's a tremendous example of an economic cluster. We have about 8,000 people living here, but we have around 400,000 work here every day. So it's a business area, and I speak for and to that area. It involves a lot of travel overseas, typically about 100 days of the year.
Now, you were elected as Lord Mayor in November 2015. It's been roughly 10 months now, if I'm correct. How has your life changed over the 10 months?
It's what I call a very high-octane year. It's a very, very full program. I mean, a typical day for me starts with a breakfast meeting, probably around 12 appointments, and that might include heads of state, finance ministers, major business figures here, and links with our own government, with ministers, links with, it could be the academic world, with many, many areas where the city is involved. And it's a very, very full-time job. So we start at breakfast, we have all these meetings, very often includes a lunch, very often includes dinner, sometimes includes things at the weekend, quite often. A lot of other, we're very advanced, I think, in London, also in CSR, corporate social responsibility. Yesterday we had a big day around that area, celebrating successes and things we're doing here. So there's very many aspects of the job, and it's very full-time.
Right.
We call it the best unpaid job in the UK.
Best unpaid job in the UK. Oh, you're a very busy man, but you're unpaid.
Unpaid. You're not paid for this. It's all what we call pro bono, to use the Latin. And in fact, all of the, if you like, council members in the elected authority, we are all independents, and we're all unpaid.
Now, speaking of a business, I know that your background, you're a maritime expert, if I'm correct. Does your expertise in that field, does it come in handy when you're serving or conducting your role as the Lord Mayor?
I think, maritime is a very big industry in the UK, so it is valuable. And by having a different Lord Mayor every year, we tend to get specialists from all these different industries over time. But yes, it does give me an understanding. It gives me, I think, a very good understanding of international trade and business, particularly if you like the physical side. I mean, I've been particularly concentrating on, first of all, the oil business and then gas. For 45 years nearly. For a long time now I've been a director of the world's largest shipbroking business. So yes, it gives me a very good understanding of the world economy, of globalization, which has been such a key feature. It's very important if I come to a country like Korea, which of course is a world leader in shipbuilding, also is a very big country in ship owning. We here are particularly world leaders, I would say, in the professional business services side of shipping, like shipbroking, legal, financial, and some technical things. We're very strong in, if you like, innovation for maritime.
Right, so speaking of technical expertise and innovation, I know that, like you said, you visited South Korea in July, in fact. I'd like to know what kind of impressions Korea left on you.
Well, I've been to Korea quite a lot of times for ship namings and ship launches and things like that. That's been my life, of course, shipping. And particularly working with gas ships, Korean yards are quite specialized in that. It's not many yards in the world build gas ships. And it's a high value part of the market. You need skilled facilities, skilled labor. Korea has that in the shipyards. So I've been many times for these ceremonies. The prelude which I mentioned is this huge floating processing plant, if you like, being built for Shell. It's a very high-tech piece of equipment, a very ambitious project. We visited and walked all over this structure. It's not a ship, it's a floating structure. Very advanced. I was very impressed. It was extremely hot. It was rather hot work, going up and down all over this remarkable structure. But it was very impressive. I was very delighted to see actually quite a lot of British equipment on board, because special bits of equipment are ordered from different producers around the world. I was pleased to see quite a strong British part also in it. Shows a good partnering between Korea and UK. So that was really very impressive. It was also rather special for me to be given an honorary doctorate in Busan at the Maritime University. That was very special for me personally, but there were lots of good takeaways. We traveled by train from Busan back, which was interesting because I always fly, so that was interesting.
Did you take the KTX bullet train?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Of course, Korea, it's such a story. Progress has been so rapid. Seoul now is, I won't say unrecognizable, but has a much bigger offer and more comfort and more choice and things like that from when I first went, which is probably at least 20 years ago. A lot of development.
Right, so rapid changes, rapid development in the last 2 decades for sure for Seoul. Now, speaking of the two countries, the UK and Korea, in what areas do you see more cooperation or more joint projects between the two countries? I know that fintech is one very important element in the relationship between the two countries.
Yes, I mean, fintech's been a huge success story in the UK. We now have more people involved in the fintech industry in London than any other city in the world. It's around 60,000, so that's exciting. We have a very big position in the whole digital economy, so that's exciting. So yes, that's an obvious area for cooperation. There are scope for cooperation actually in maritime, but I think the other thing which interests me very much is the tech, innovative side of Korea, which fits very much with a strong streak of innovation in this country. So I think there's a great potential for partnership there. I think that Koreans have established themselves in Britain as good partners investing here. We'd love to see more investment here. I think there's a potential for a lot of partnering between UK and Korea. And I think we'd like Korea to see Britain as a partner of choice in the West. I myself have worked with Korean businesses here in the maritime sphere very successfully for years.
Speaking of investment, since the Brexit referendum, there have been concerns running amongst Korean investors because of that uncertainty. And where do you see the two countries going forward in terms of investing in each other's countries?
Well, I think that you are right. You talk about uncertainty. Of course, it's still very soon. We're not yet 4 months from when the vote took place. So yes, and Article 50 hasn't been triggered yet. So yes, we don't know exactly what the shape of the future will be. Of course, the UK remains 5th biggest economy in the world. We have a very skilled labour force. We are an extremely international economy, which makes it very easy for us to welcome and work well with international partners. It's really in our DNA as an island people, as a maritime people, as Koreans. It's in our DNA, and I think that makes it much easier to work together. I think one of the things I was saying when I was in Korea was actually, of course, Britain's still very much open for business. The fundamentals are still the same. I think you asked about areas where we could cooperate. I think fintech, again, is an obvious one. I think tech areas is an obvious one. Maritime is an obvious one. But of course, the UK has a massive offer in the whole financial and professional business services. So we can help and we can guide and we can give excellent advice. We can probably help your own industries grow in that area. So we have, a large number of world-leading universities. Right here in the city, we've got one of the best business schools in the world, Cass Business School, right here in the City of London. Creative arts, we're very strong in that. Professional education, accountancy, legal, financial literacy. This becomes very important. A rapidly growing economy like Korea, you're great innovators, but also financial controls, good financial planning, things like that become important, and we have a lot of expertise in that area.
Right. Personally, I see striking similarities between London and Seoul. They're both very rich in history and heritage and also very cosmopolitan. I think I do see that dynamism here in London that I see in Seoul as well. So I do really believe that the two countries can be great partners in creating a new chapter in working together and mutually benefiting one another.
I think it's exciting how far that partnership already exists. I mean, it's extraordinary how developed it's become. There's a large Korean community in New Malden, just south of here, and I think they're very welcome. We have a growing number of Korean restaurants here in London, which we appreciate and enjoy. One of the things that interested me very much, if we're talking about cooperation, after the vote, Korea was one of the very first countries to say, we're interested in a free trade agreement with the UK. And of course, that's very interesting because free trade agreements with the UK going forward are going to be quite an opportunity for both parties, because if you make a free trade agreement with the EU, you're making it with 28 countries, and it has to work for everyone. If you're making it, let's say, for example, between UK and Korea, we can focus on what actually matters, what's helpful to both those economies.
By the end of your term, which is a couple of months from now, what would you like to have achieved? How would you like to be remembered?
Well, that's a very big question, and I probably ought to think of a very good answer quite soon, because it's a question I'm going to get a lot now as we get into this period. There's a number of things that interest me. I've put innovation at the centre of my year. Every Lord Mayor has a theme, and my theme is innovate here, succeed anywhere. We have a very rich vein of innovation in the UK at the moment. It's very, very powerful in the universities, in business, in the professional business services, everywhere. And that's going to be very important to us going into this period of adjustment when we step out of the EU. So I think promoting innovation is valuable. Also, I'm very interested in opportunity and education, not least for the disadvantaged. With the demographics of a modern state and with the challenges of the world economy, we need the talent of all forms of diversity. I'm interested in promoting maritime, making a big, driving our our world-leading position in, especially on the professional business services in maritime and on innovation in the manufacturing and engineering side for maritime.
I think it's really striking that for Korea as well, innovation and creative economy has been the buzzwords in the last few days, especially in this administration. And education, it has always been very, very big and very powerful. And I think going forward, the two countries can really open a new chapter and work together to build something better in the future. Lord Mayor, thank you so much for your interview today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, thank you.